Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about some mistakes that you might encounter in the early game of Zenless Zone Zero. Now, obviously this game just came out and I've already made some mistakes myself. I'm already level 26 and I kind of want to help you guys identify some of the mistakes I made and how you can avoid them and not do the same thing I did. Now, the first one here is pretty simple. Don't forget to go to 4 separate NPCs every single day, because this is important. The first NPC, General Chop, he is a free buff every single day, so you're going to want to make sure you're visiting him at least once a day minimum. His effects last for 3 combats, so you can even come back to him after the effect is off and replenish this again. The next NPC is Hal. You want to be coming to Hal every single day. He gives you a free scratch card, which gives you a little nice bit of Denny. The next NPC is in the coffee shop, the Tin Man. You're going to want to make sure to visit this guy at least once a day to replenish your battery. The last NPC is going to be Bang Boo 18. Do not forget to come see him every day, or whoever is at the stand here, so that you can set your movies for the day and get your hourly Denny. The next mistake, which I encountered personally, was resource management and how you want to level up character. So generally for this game, you're going to want to build one stagnant team, at least early on. Early on, this is important because you're not going to have many resources to work with. So you're going to want to have at least one secure team early on. Now, this does change later, because later into the game, you are going to want to spread your resources because you're going to encounter very hard content that requires different elements like ice, electric, and so on. But early on, you're going to be really limited in your resources. So I strongly recommend picking out one team that you want to level up, and then leveling up those 3 characters. And I highly suggest that at least one of those is an attack type character. Those are going to be your main damage dealers, like a Nekomata or a Soldier 11. You're going to want to pick one of these to put on your main squad. And then I suggest you focus all your resources on that attack type characters before you start leveling up your stun characters and your support characters. Mainly those supports. Those should be the last ones you're leveling. Your attack types should have your highest priority in terms of skill, level, and equipment. You want to be making sure they're decked out first. The next mistake, which I think a lot of people will make, is just making non-functioning teams, which I think will be a big problem in this game. I'm going to have a whole video going over team building soon, but it's very important to build good teams. You don't want to be pairing Ben and Piper, for example. There is no synergy there. For a general rule of thumb, you want to be pairing attribute types and faction types. Every single character in the game has skills that only work when they are in the same attribute and faction as another character. You can see if this skill is active based on the smiley faces on the characters. You can see all 3 of these characters have smiley faces because I have 2 fire types, and then Koldia and Anton are from the same faction, so every character is going to get this bonus ability. However, if I throw Nicole in here, she's no longer going to get the ability, and she's going to have a straight face, and therefore will not activate in battle. So do not make the mistake of pairing together a Kolda and a Corin, or a Corin and a Ben, and try to make sure that you're matching up every single smiley face on the roster here. The next general tip I have for you guys is just to follow the main story. It's a pretty simple one, but you have a lot of ways to get off track in this game, and you'll see a side quest and you want to go do that or something else. But I highly recommend prioritizing main story first. Main story is how you're going to unlock a majority of things in this game. If you don't follow the main story, you'll just be locked off from like whole areas, for example. You won't be able to access certain mechanics, which are really helpful. So once you reach the internet level that you need, which for me right now would be level 30, I highly recommend following that main story and going along the path they set for you. My next big thing is 3-star engines. Early on in the game, you're going to get an absolute crap ton of these 3-star engines. You do not want to be buying 3-star engines from this girl right here. You're going to have the gadget store, which is in the main area of the game, and you're going to have the option to buy 3-star engine. There is no reason to buy these. They are good, but they're going to come very obsolete in the late game. You want to save up for the A rank engines and their ascensions. They have 5 stars, so even if you get 1 copy of them, you can still get more stars for that copy. These do cost a little more, but they're way more valuable than any of the B rank engines in the game. And on that topic, I wouldn't even recommend leveling up B rank engines at all. Maybe to level 20 or 30 for the early game. But again, like I said, these are going to become really obsolete. And to be completely honest, they give you so many pulls in the early game that unless you get completely unlucky, you're basically guaranteed to get a better A rank engine at some point. And even if you don't, you can come over here to the gadget store and buy one for yourself once you have enough to craft it. And since we're kind of on the topic of summoning, another rule of thumb that I have, and I think everybody should have for any gacha game, never spend currency on the standard banner. This is kind of an obvious thing for anybody who's played gachas, but maybe some of you haven't. You never want to spend this polychrome on the standard banner. They give you a crap ton of free standard pulls early on. You get like 40 just from this. And then I believe you get another 10 somewhere else. And then in the mail, you get another 20. There is quite literally zero reason to spend any of this premium currency on the standard banner. And on that same note, I strongly recommend with the currency called the residual signals, which you get from the banners that you roll on, to save them. You're going to have the option to do one of 3 things with this currency. 1, buy cinemas, which are like eidolons in this game. 2, save up to buy the balls. Or 3, buy master tapes / encrypted tapes. These engines cost a lot to get, so I highly recommend that you save up for one of these 5-star engines. You have to think these cost 80 pulls in total, so 600 of this currency is actually a big discount on what you would normally have to spend to get one of these engines. So although it might be tempting to buy some of those tapes, I highly recommend against doing that. The next thing I want to talk about is 3-star discs and 4-star discs. Now you're going to get the music store at some point, and once you get the music store, you're going to be able to redeem some currency to get discs. You can see here I can tune one, and it's going to give me something random. This time I got a woodpecker that has crit damage and defense, and that's pretty decent. You're able to dismantle these and you can get some currency back from them, or you can go to your agents and put them on them as equipment. Now, it's going to be very tempting to want to grind and level these, as these are your artifact system in the game. And you know, everybody loves a bit of RNG. However, in the early game, you should not be leveling up any B rank discs. You can level up the A rank disc, but keep in mind, once you hit 40, you're going to be able to get 5-star or S rank discs that are going to far surpass in terms of stats the ones that you can get now. So I highly suggest against leveling these discs or forcing 4 pieces to get perfect stats on these B rank and A rank discs, because early on, they're really not going to be all that important to your overall damage output. A lot more of it is going to come from your skills and your base stats. Obviously, that will change as time goes on, and discs will become increasingly more important in the end game. But until you get to that point where you do have A rank discs, you don't want to be using this little bit of currency to level up 3 stars or 4 stars like I just did. That was to show an example. You do not do what I did is what I was trying to say. Anyways, that's also why in the same breath, I don't recommend grinding them early on. These are not something you want to be spending your battery charge on. These are not worth it early on. You want to be going for either your expert challenges or your combat simulations to rank up and level up your characters, get their levels up, get their skills up. That is going to be the most important thing you can do early on. And one last thing, and this last point is a bit opinion based, and that's why I saved it for last, is I don't want people to make the mistake of doing challenge mode. You're going to have this little option here of doing challenge mode, which is going to make the combat harder, but I'm going to be completely transparent. The combat is not any harder. Let me explain what I mean by that. So it is harder, but to be completely transparent, every enemy just becomes a bullet sponge. You do not have more skill or talent because you beat challenge mode. I highly recommend against playing this mode. The game honestly doesn't even feel more challenging, and I honestly just feel like it is a waste of your time to be doing challenge mode early on. The enemies just become bullet sponges, and honestly, I just do not think it makes for an enjoyable experience. However, That is just my own opinion. You may disagree, and that is fine. But anyways, that's all my don't do's for Zenless Zone Zero. If you have any more, make sure to leave them down in the comments below. But for today, that's going to be all for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'm going to see you all in the next one. Peace.